On this Minute of the Apes, it feels like we've lived 3 weeks in 2 days.
They greenlit the sequel without a story in mind. They just wanted to equal an unexpected gold mine. He said, oh no, as Heston said, I got to go. These are just some of the facts you ought to know as we go. Beneath the Minute of the Apes. Beneath the Minute of the Apes. Beneath the Minute of the Apes.
The only good human is a dead human.
Hello and welcome to Minute of the Apes, the daily podcast where we break down every minute of the Planet of the Apes movies, 1 minute at a time. It's Monday. I'm Todd. That was Sean. Guess who's next to him?
Oh, that's me.
That's Richard.
Hey, everybody.
Hey.
Happy Monday. All right, so we are on minute 86. Before we jump in, let's do what we like to do at the beginning of the week, and let's say go love our Movies by Minute family. Give a little love out to other people doing this in the world. There are so many starting up every day. They recently had a convention that we could not make it to that showcased a number of these people, but the family is growing and we want them to get support. So moviesbyminute.com, you will find whatever you like out there. Give them a listen.
Have fun.
So Sean, tell us what's going on with minute 86.
All right, we're going to start minute 86 with Zaya saying, "This must be what your scout reported," and ends with Taylor beating on the cell door with the mace.
Here it comes.
This must be what your scout reported. A subterranean passage. I think it's worth exploring.
What will you do, Holiness? Everything necessary.
All right, as of minute 86, we have 3 living humans, a Psychor telepath, 4 dead humans, 1 dead ape, 1 dead telepath, a shrewdness of apes, and a gaggle of humans.
So I right away.
He's making some big assumptions, isn't he?
Well, hang on. Richard Pre-Pro looks at me and he says, the beginning of this minute drives him a little crazy.
No, a little ape shit.
Yeah, ape shit was his exact term. Sean's got a point. I want to know what your ape shitness is. I've
What is
been
your
waiting
problem
with bated
the
breath.
first 5 seconds.
All right. So for the listening audience that may not remember this particular moment, we start with Zaius and Ursus. Zaius kind of walking to the opening of what appears to be the hole that Brent had really climbed into to find the subway.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Zaius is behind him. He gets off his horse. He kind of motions for the other guerrilla soldiers to come with him. Zaius says, "This must be what your scout reported." Did we not just see an entire New York skyline not 10 minutes earlier?
Yeah, so they're worried about a
Brent
whole...
have seen that same damn New York City skyline 10 minutes earlier?
That's a pretty good point.
And shouldn't have been surprised by the subway?
Well, no, hang on. To back up, you got to remember, Brent was being chased by scouts or whatever, so they came a different direction potentially than the army came from. And so the scouts they came a different way, and now the people that chased Brent and then were too lazy to go look in the hole that they actually went into, went over and said, "Hey, there's a hole over there. They may be in there." These scouts may not have even seen the city.
But when the backdrop of Zaius and Ursus and the...
He's going to explode, by the way.
And the 7 soldiers
I've
on
got to
horseback.
tie Richard down into his chair. Hang on a
He's
second.
literally just green. They're still in the freaking green part of the forbidden zone. Like, there's no sense that they're in any type of city.
Right.
And I don't even know why I would wander back into, like, a wooded area, cliff rock area if I'd just seen a motherfucking city off in the distance.
Yeah, you'd be examining the city,
I'd go walking through
not
the
a
city.
hole in the ground.
I
Yeah.
know you wanted to see them walk through a city and see cars and all that kind of stuff, but this just kind of back to nature. Here's a hole in the ground. Let's go into it. Really was just I couldn't deal.
And I swear to you, if they walked through the city, you know there would be a scene where somebody would open a car door and hit the horn accidentally, even though batteries would be dead for 2,000 years.
True.
It would still work somehow.
Hey, the mama worked at the end of
Oh,
the,
that's true. That doll mama. Well, that could potentially be an air box.
one of those
that,
bladder type things, yeah.
I'll give you that maybe Brent came from a different direction, didn't quite see the cityscape. It would have been hard to fucking miss.
Yeah, a
but
city.
maybe he didn't see the cityscape, but maybe something in the scene, just a sign sitting off to the side that said Central Park.
50 miles
or
to
something that
New
gave
York
me a
City
sense
or
that there's this
something, yeah.
vegetation to be there, because it looks like they're just back in the woods again and they come across this hole.
I mean, it'd been great if there was a sign laying on the ground that the apes were marching over that says, New York City, 5 miles.
Something.
Albuquerque that way.
There you go.
Just something, just because it's just so unexciting for them to discover the same thing that they don't even like.
Here's
look
a
at
big
this,
city. We don't care
This
about
must
it.
be the
Here's a
random
hole in the
hole your
ground.
scout was talking about.
The really big elephant in the room, though, is that Richard has taken his F-bomb monkey bleeps quotient up by about a factor of 5 just in one episode. Dear Lord.
I couldn't deal with it. I couldn't deal with it. It just drove me crazy. We saw that amazing city. I mean, they went to this level to try and shock the audience with this giant cityscape that's got half teetering, burned out skyscrapers, partially, city streets covered with ash and lava, hardened lava, to set the stage for where the mutant humans are underground. And it's just non-existent after that one shot. And I know they didn't have a huge budget, but
you could cheat that. So
they could have put a part of what the underground was above ground just as an entryway.
Kind of connecting to it a little bit.
They could have moved the public library lions to the entrance of something to give us a sense that this is a place to go, as opposed to just a hole in the ground.
What I thought, and I did actually think this at some point, we get the shot of Nova and Brent going past Radio City Music Hall and all that. That's a matte painting. Why didn't they save that for the apes? So they could go through the city like that. It would open up this moment. There are so many stumbles like that, and yes, I have been calling for let's go through the city. That would be the shocking thing to the apes. If Albuquerque was shocking to Taylor and Brent, then the shocking thing for the apes would be
find New York
to see this. And
that's bigger than their city. Yeah.
And fine, I'll give you the conceit that maybe they went a different way, but New York is a pretty damn big city to miss just because you went that way.
Hey, they missed a whole fucking mountain range in front of them when they were riding the horses, and they were surprised by it.
Yeah, that's true. I think what stumbles me at the first, and I'm kind of surprised at myself I didn't think the same thing where you're pulling it, but to Sean's point, we get into Zaius making these assumptions of a subterranean passage.
You see a hole in the
just
ground.
because it's a hole.
Yeah.
But you can't tell anything from looking into this hole.
No.
I mean, unless they got like super gorilla night vision and can see underground through the darkness.
Can monkeys see in the dark better than we do?
I have no idea. But that's the.
Okay,
Brent stumbled into this hole as a place to hide and then discovered the subway. There was
Right.
nothing indicating to him, hey, here's a cool place to hide. It was a place to hide, and he stumbled into it. And now Zaius is just kind of magically going, hey, check this out. I bet this is what your scout was talking about. Not the motherfucking city behind them that's burnt out. I mean,
Right.
it just. Anyway,
that city is everything that Zaius has been afraid of. Everything that he's tried to keep people out of in the Forbidden Zone is suddenly before him, and there is the 100% proof. I still
Humans
believe.
and monkeys don't have night vision.
Okay.
There you go.
I still believe that Zaius knew about the Statue of Liberty. He didn't know what it was, but he knew it was a big statue of a woman.
Or he knew his destiny was out there.
Yeah, he knew it was there. But then to see the city, that is proof there was a civilization. And you're taking away the chance for this character to have the payoff of everything he's fought about in 2 movies.
Right.
And it's negated. But why do we do this? Because we need an easy way to get the apes down below the ground so they can be with the humans, so that we can have
Our big battle.
and follow
or
the
whatever.
same
big
path
confrontation.
that Brent did that
Exactly.
we get to. So the direction of the script specifically was after we got done with everything and he tells the bugler to advance for the army to move forward after Zaius clears the vision. It specifically says, as they move out toward the city, Zaius Day dismounts, waving and pointing to the ground. We tilt down to a close-up of a 6-foot square octagonal vent set flush with the ground just beyond the
that would
horse's
have been
hooves.
more. That would have been better to have something unnatural in the ground that Brent and Nova have gone down, that
Sure.
you have a point of reference, and then since it's not natural, they're going, that's an...
But you can't have that above ground, because then you can't have the discovery for Brent below ground. I mean, if he begins to see a port somewhere, then he goes, that looks familiar. But you're right.
Yeah.
It's just how do you work that out?
There need to be very specific vegetation around it, or something to make sure that you could tell that the hole that Brent and Nova went into is the same one that they're looking
But
at.
usually you have like breadcrumbs of some sort, be it whether there's blood that leads to that hole and that lets you think they're there. There's nothing that should call his attention, because if you're
like if Nova had lost her dog tags while they were running in there, and they saw them laying at the foot of the cave, they would have gone, oh, wait.
But, this is not a big cave. This is a hole in the ground that has nothing that draws attention to it.
Yeah.
Right. So it's supposed to be an octagonal vent set flush to the ground just beyond the horses as they move out towards the city. So clearly Dane wanted some type of city to be seen, and they see something that looks like a way into somewhere.
Yeah, I can see how you would have the city on the skyline, and then in the foreground, a hole in the ground that has metal around it. And so you go, oh, I want to go in that way. Yeah.
Now, in the people that listened to the clip didn't necessarily get this as well. What happens next is described in the script as Zaius opens his mouth to shout. We get a line. They added the line, this must be what your scout reported. That was not in the script.
Okay.
But it says, as he opens his mouth to shout, we zoom back to reveal unexpectedly the image we are watching is being projected in perfect color on the projection wall. So that projection thing that they do to show what's happening someplace on their wall that's kind of in black and white.
Yeah, now it's perfect color.
We do actually do that. I mean, after Zaius finishes his line, a subterranean passage, I think, worth the exploration. When they wave the soldiers off the horse, about a dozen of them get off. We see about a dozen kind of follow them into the hole. And then at 23 seconds in, we see the projection on the wall, which is described in the script. Now, I want to mention one thing real quick. I had mentioned that they jumped around a little bit. So do you remember probably 15 minutes earlier before the church scene, we do have the guerrilla soldiers getting near the city, and we have the projection on the wall, and Casplay says, you know the range to the city, and Fat Man says yes. And Casplay says, so set it in the mechanism and wait for me. And then Casplay says, I want a public thought projection at adult and infant level, adults in the cathedral, infants stay indoors. That part happened earlier.
Yeah.
But what they do is, after this moment, projection on the wall, we pick up with Casplay to Mendez, what will you do, your holiness? Everything necessary.
Right.
So they cut that scene into 2 moments and brought it back to this point to, I guess, escalate the idea that the bomb is already locked and loaded to do something prior to this last 10 minutes of the movie.
While we're in the discussion about the subterranean passage, I'll at least say that suddenly we have a visual sensibility to this film that hasn't been there before, because we cut to and it's very unmotivated, but we cut to the inside of the subterranean passage, looking back out with a piece of wood going across the frame, looking up at Zaius and Ursus, which is a beautiful shot. But then when it comes out, the camera almost crosses the line.
Okay.
Because suddenly everything has been shot upward, to the left, and then suddenly Zaius and Ursus are to the left, fine, but the camera's almost to the right, and there's no motivation for it. I mean, it is literally on the brink of, if they went 2 feet more, it'd be like,
my eyes.
Where are they? What are they doing? They've flipped around. But at least, and I find in the minutes this week, we've at least finally got a little balls in the shot composition, and I think it began with that fight that Richard loves so much. We had a lot of cool camera work. We're seeing some more of it, and I'm excited to say that I took note of a number of times this week.
Yeah, you're getting a whole lot more dramatic angles instead of just being head level.
Right.
You're going down low, you're going up high.
You're actually using the camera to tell your story a bit.
I do like the fact that whenever all the apes dismount to start heading in, it's like, all right, you got your guns, you got your ropes, all right, I got to go plant the flag over here in the corner before we go down there. Wait, one ape, make sure to take the flag and plant it down there.
I guess that's the cavalry is coming, and that's how they'll know where they are.
Well, I think that was my question, because when Zaius and Ursus dismount and we have the about 12 soldiers get off their horses and go into the tunnel, we watch them all kind of sauntering one by one.
They hop down very ape-like, and I did like that.
They then get into the actual tunnels that are familiar to us, because this is what we saw, how we saw Brent and Nova enter the city itself, was through these tunnels. And again, I want to remark how pristine these tunnels are with their tile work versus the labyrinth of tunnels underneath where Brent
it's starting to fall apart a little
bit.
They're
falling apart. Like